Hello everyone, my name is Maddox, and today I want to talk to you about, well, something that's maybe a little out of date, but I believe still holds relevance and value to the current state of Warframe and the potential future of Warframe, is talking about, well, obviously the title that I'm going to put, of per ability visual customization per Warframe. That's a mouthful, and I've been laying in bed for the past, I'd say, 3 hours trying to sleep with these thoughts rambling around in my head. So, to get them out of my head so I can sleep, apparently the only time I'm motivated enough to actually create a video of some worth is when I'm forced to, because I can't sleep. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. It's annoying, but fuck it, right? That's how it goes. So this was all sparked off, and why I initially said this is somewhat out of date, because of the introduction of Onslaught and Korra, and in specific the Peculiar mod. Now, I probably would have previously made videos about Onslaught and Korra. And I really like playing Saren, and obviously Saren is having some drastic upcoming changes, and there's obviously going to be some upcoming melee changes, which I'll probably make a thoughts video on, just because, well, I mean, everyone's making a thoughts video on it, so I don't know if I'll make it. It's very difficult trying to find things I want to talk about and make. I feel like the most value I can make in videos regarding this kind of stuff is talking about games, and, well, in specific, somewhat more general, just because there are so many people, Brozime, things like MC Gamer Z, was it Tactical Potato? I don't know, it's, haven't slept, I don't remember what the exact name are, but you probably know who I'm talking about. If you're watching this video about Warframe, you've probably seen these larger content creators that within either an hour or hours of anything coming out of DE, have a video up discussing it, because obviously that's probably their job. That's what they need to get all this information out. They probably plan their sleep schedule and their work schedule around making that kind of content, and because I do share a good amount of views with these people, I can't really, or don't really feel like I need to make any of those kinds of videos, because it's redundant content. Maybe regarding the melee change, speaking about that, I might make a video about the upcoming melee changes. Maybe making a video about that, just because the sheer quantity of thoughts that I have, as well as having more people say, hey, maybe reconsider the whole combo counter going away thing. I don't know, we'll see how it shows up. We'll see how it comes out. It could be great, could be awful, we'll find out. That might be something worth saying again, just because it's something very important to the core mechanics of playing the game. But that's why I haven't been making any, well, real Warframe content recently, just because everyone and their grandma, that especially even bigger channels, are already making those. So to provide my own form of value, I'll make a different kinds of videos, just because pumping out videos like that can, I believe, for me at least, will only get me so far. And as I've said, redundant opinions most of the time, or reinstated opinions sometimes, just aren't worth watching. So, now on to the actual video. Talking about Peculiar mods, and Saren in particular, because when you get a crit on an enemy, I sadly do not have the mod, otherwise I would show it here. If you get a crit on the enemy, it would spawn a flower. And the flowers aren't crazy neon, goofy colors, right? They're pretty standard color, just a little fun thing. They don't really destroy the flow of the gameplay. It doesn't break the immersion. One of the things Steve specifically mentioned, Steve Sinclair, he works at Digital Extremes on the game. I don't really know his exact title within the company, otherwise I would say. But I probably should have Googled that, or just looked at his Twitter page, and found that out beforehand. But one of the things he said was he didn't want to break this is paraphrasing, obviously not his words. He didn't want to destroy the inner immersion of the game. Like the little flowers that pop up, you could go through and if you weren't really paying attention, you could go through and not even notice them, that someone had them. But the person that had them could get enjoyment from it, right? So it doesn't break the immersion. It's not inconsistent with the world, because it could still somewhat make sense. It could still be workable. It's nothing crazy. It's just a little fun thing to add. But you're not gonna fart rainbows when you bullet jump. You're not gonna get a fucking Nyan Cat rainbow unicorn trail on your fucking Arcwing. You know, maybe the Arcwing is okay, maybe, but generally he doesn't want to ruin the thematic consistency of the world, and I believe that is a very important detail and a correct decision on his behalf, because, like, look, the game is obviously ridiculous, right? There's some spoiler things I could easily talk about, which I try to avoid most of the time, but there's some easily very interesting ideas that have been brought into the game that some people could take as ridiculous or immersion breaking, but they're still thematically consistent with the world that they have created here. And breaking and just for a little fun ruining that thematic consistency of the world, I believe, is an incorrect choice, which is why I very highly support Scott in his decision on being very, very careful about peculiar mods. So my idea was, instead of having a mod that when you crit and pop the flower, what if instead Saren's spores were flowers, right? Now, that has a couple issues in and of itself when we're talking about per ability customization. The design and creation of the spores themselves obviously means you can you can hit an enemy, you can pop the spore, you can pop each individual spore, and you're not just popping one spore at a time, right? Or you can pop one spore at a time. But if you just have little flowers, I mean, what are those flowers' hitboxes going to be? Are they going to be the same hitboxes, but because the ability does not show it, what the hitboxes are, maybe you're not able to play your character correctly, because when you want to hit a, let's say it was just a little flower poking out of the arm, but even if the hitboxes are the same and the visuals don't match it, how does that going to affect your gameplay, right? My fucking Kavat keeps... Okay, one second, let me get rid of my fucking Kavat before it breaks all the pods on the enemy. It's really annoying. Uh-oh. So, thematically, it could be cool, right? But as far as gameplay is concerned, how is that going to work? Is there just going to be a little flower that pops out of there, but the flower will still have the same impact in AoE of the spores, right? Or there's a lot to be thought of about visual and consistency regarding just that of the flowers being spores, right? The visual consistency isn't there. The visual clarity of where the spores are, where you could hit them, what they do, wouldn't even necessarily be the same. So adding something like that to the game would be very, very iffy. Would be very odd. It would fit. It could fit with the game easily, obviously because of Saren, right? It would fit, but overall, it would be something cool. But the thought of applying that, of the thought of that application, could be far more confusing and worse for the character and the ability overall than just doing nothing to it at all and leaving it as is. Now, some other ideas that I had concerning ability customization, Necros, for example. A lot of people may use Necros for his despoil, right? Not the crazy, the enemies pop up, extra loot. What if maybe just for a little added something, there's a small little visual effects. They've been showing off a lot of new particle effects and visuals that they've been messing with. that look really cool and they look really good. They even said that the way they've optimized them, there's not much of a strain on the on people's computers for adding all of those really nice effects with how they've used them in the engine, which is fucking radical. But so what if I despoil and I kill an enemy? Well, just a little VFX, a little soul, maybe a little. I'm not sure how to explain it, but like a little cartoon. You know, in the cartoons, there's when they drop like a bomb in the cartoon, there's a little like ghost face that shows up in it that shows, oh, it's deadly, it's death, right? What if just a little ghostly thing popped out and then got sucked into Necros? Just something fun, just something a little cool. And then obviously when they got sucked into him, he would lose his health. I think it'd be kind of cool. And thematically, it could work. So we could think about that. We could think about. Obviously, I'm only going to talk about the frames that I play a regular amount, just because talking about frames that I don't really play that much thematically and how they could be used effectively, I can't really speak for them, and so it doesn't make sense for me to talk about their potential per ability customization because I haven't put that much thought into it because I haven't played them that much. So now let's go to, let's say Rhino, for example. Rhino, his roar is fine. His armor, cool, works. It's all good, right? He's got a little charge, right? Yeah, it's all good. But what if you had the little augment? So when you stomp, there's little particles in the air, right? And all this shit. What if you don't want particles in the air? What if you know the area of your stomp? You don't need the little particles in the air, even though they're cool. What if when you stomped, you had a huge, like, almost like anime? It's like, you know when someone, like, let's say Dragon Ball, they get punched into the ground? Then there's that initial crater where they landed. Then there's that bigger crater around it, and then there's cracks out of that. What if, even for a small little, that it might even show the visual range of it, that could scale with range mods or whatever? What if it showed that, like, impact of your stomp? Obviously, they're not going to dent the actual surface of the thing. It would just be a small little visual that would be out very momentarily. But I think it'd be cool to see that, those real visual cracks. I think it's also on other terrains, there's actual cracks that do show up, if I remember correctly. I don't fully remember, but on actual other terrain there might be. So just talking about the actual animation and visual effects of that, they would need to make a stomp animation for, because I believe this is the animation for corpus tile effect, because obviously you see like corpus ship texture within the stomp. Like, see that corpus ship texture? So I think this is for like corpus, and I think Grenier and Infested have some different ones. I think the Grenier ones, which is more earthy and more on like Earth and stuff like that, have or if you're on Earth, it does have more of a visual impact on the floor as compared to this current visual effect you're seeing now. So you have to consider how much work that would go into regarding each tile set and each floor type that you would stomp on, that it would add effect to, right? So there's a lot that goes into, oh yeah, just adding a little anime crater on your stomp. Yeah, that'd be cool. So there's a lot to consider with something so small, and I'll continue that thought a little later. In the last one I kind of want to talk about that I mainly play is Chroma. Or there's Frost, but Frost is fine. I'm not 100% sure what I want to change about Frost. But for Chroma, one of the things I've personally thought that would be cool is, obviously he has his, it just looks like the Zenostar aura. But it's a ward, it's fine, it's good, it doesn't really matter, it's cool, I like it, it's fine. But his Vex armor, so like, here, I'll give you a good look at the texture of the armor. So the texture looks good, right? And then you Vex armor, and then you just get a red glow. And just to reiterate it, let me change the appearance of this just to the base skin. So when there's the texture and then you do this, and then it's just that red glow, right? So what if, even though this is the more scaly of the the looks and the textures of these suits compared to the Crimson Dynasty. You know, what if there was a little more, maybe a small hexagonal pattern instead of just this red? There'd be maybe a little more scale looking hexagonal pattern of red that would show up on your character. Just like it would thematically be just fine, right? And thematically work great. And you could see it as a player and you would like it a little more and you'd enjoy it. And it'd be good, right? These are things they could add to the game. But now let's talk about the economics of adding something like that into the game. Now let's get into the actual nitty-gritty and conversation of the idea. Because that is where the interest in this topic really lies. So adding any little thing into the game, you need to consider many aspects. So, for example, the things I just mentioned, the Vex armor, maybe making little flowers instead of just these spores. As you can see, the like actual texture on the spores, they're not super crazy, right? They look good, but they're nothing super special. Like if they were flowers, they'd probably be a little more detailed. But right now, even these look pretty good. You can even see there's one end of it, and then you come over, and there's just the start of the orb of the animations and the visual effects, right? So, yeah, the first thing you would have to consider is money. If we make something like I've been mentioning before, the spores, the Vex armor, the little anime smash on Rhino's stomp, like I said, I'm only doing it here in this tile set, but I could be mistaken. There could be much better animation to it in the other tile sets. But, which I even believe there's different animations in the other tile sets. I'm just speaking more of a higher quality, like little anime-ish kind of stomp zone. Should be kind of cool. But I don't want to get too off track. So, first and foremost, money. Is it worth making that a product? And you have to think about this from multiple angles. Because they could probably make it and make their money back from it, right? That'd be cool. But now they have to... But they can't even do that without considering many things. One of which is the community reaction to it. This game is very community driven, it's very community based. They have made decisions by and for the community. One of the most, or things a lot of people will mention because they watch the No Clip documentary is they added an ability to change the color of your dog companion. And someone hit the button 200 times in one night. And it's a very exploitative mechanic, and when they went there and they saw that, they went, oh no, that's gross, no, and they removed it, which they were applauded for, and they should be applauded for, and they should be awarded success for their decision making regarding the players. So talking about decision making regarding the players in mind, that little visual effect is and things I mentioned would be cool, right? That'd be awesome. But how does that affect other players? They've mentioned previously and they've shown previously their new little visual effects stuff and their GFX that they've been working on, which is fucking radical, mind you, which is really, really, really cool. And it has very little impact on the game. But what about players who don't have greater PCs that right now can run the game just fine? But what if they start adding these per ability customizations in the game, and they're of a little higher quality, obviously, than the regular animations, just because if they're going to monetize these, they would obviously probably need to monetize these for Steam bucks, for actual dollars, not plat. Because if they monetize them for plat, it might not be worth selling in the first place because of how much plat is already stocked up per player, how people can farm plat, how essentially the people that might want these animations, because that's more of an end game kind of thing, the other people would probably already spend their plat on like Orkin reactors or catalysts or who knows what, right? In the store, spend plat on slots, that kind of thing. More useful items than aesthetic items. If they make it plat, is it really going to be worth all that work for plat, which players can basically farm between themselves, and they might not make much from it? It might not be worth doing that, right? So that's one thing in the monetary value. So obviously they'd probably go, well, should we make it money, like actual money, like Steam dollars, like $5 for the animations, right? For how much work they would put into making them nice. But right now, the only things in-game, or most of the things in-game that are monetary value, that are actually Steam dollars that you have to pay real money for, you can't just farm for the premium currency in-game for trading other players, right now, is Tenogen. And Tenogen are community-based and is a skin market that is community-based and driven by the community for things that the community might want. Halloween themed, different kinds of themes. You just had another round of Tenogen. A lot of the stuff looks really cool. People really praise the mag Tenogen that came out because it's really great. It's got to the point where specific creators have people buying all of their skins just because they want to see the creator do more work. And it's an empowering tool for the community, but they can make it dollars because they go, hey, look, this has to go through Steam. These people that made these need to get some money from it. Then we need to get our money from it from doing this, so they can make it worth actual dollars. And then everything's good, everything's happy. It's a system that's in the game. It works. They make money from it. The people make money from it. All is happy. All is well, right? So but the difference is that's not necessarily community-driven animations. They're making it in-house. So then people would want that not for money, but for plat, because it's community-based, right? Because it's company-based, not community-based. So there's that whole conflict of bag of worms of just how they're going to monetize it. Then even just adding those in, because they're obviously, if they're going to have people pay for it, then it's going to be of higher quality. Now, if it's higher quality, what's that going to do? Let's say if you get a bunch of people that pay for that shit, and then they get into a game with a guy that doesn't have a good computer, didn't pay for that shit, doesn't pay for that kind of stuff because he doesn't want to add extra strain on a system. Maybe he's not running on a good PC. How much more does that affect him? How much more does their wanted gameplay or wanted aesthetics affect the average gameplay of the game? How much does it break the immersion of the game to add those little effects, not just in-world animation, but through players actually playing the game? How does lower FPS? Do people need to drop the graphics because people are using these things? Like, you don't know the full impact of it. So there's that side to it that's really interesting to think about. And like, we're not even done thinking about it because we've just talked about straight monetization of it between in-game, plat, or just regular dollars. Why regular dollars works for Tenogen because it's community-based and blah, 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 blah. We just talked about that shit. I don't need to say it again. So that was basically the precursor to... I'm just repeating myself. I don't know why. It just helps me gain my thoughts back of how it could affect other people playing the game, right? But then you have to go, okay, well, if it affects other people potentially negatively, then are these things that we're going to put in and add in, are these things only going to be client side? Are they only going to be something that the player can see? And if they are, what happens if they go, okay, it's going to only be player side, it's only going to be client side, and they put that in, it's only client side, but what if they don't tell anyone it's client side, just because it's an oversight or something? The community backlash on not being able to show other people their cool stuff that they paid money for, right? If you're going to pay money stuff, you want to show people, you want to show people your cool stuff. Look at my little fucking Reptar, right? Look at my little fucking Nato from Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere. It's adorable, right? It's a little thing. But, yeah, fucking cheeseburger. I might have been louder than I wanted to, but hopefully it wasn't. So there's that aspect to consider. So maybe like they've done before, they would need to be transparent with the community. Hey, we're thinking about doing this and this and this, and it maybe affect you this way. It'd only be client side, so it wouldn't want to affect other people's computers. Would it be worth for you to do that? But then they have to weigh weigh what people say with what people actually will pay for, because of course someone will say, oh yeah, I'll totally buy that, and then of course not fucking buy it, right? They probably have a lot of statistics regarding that kind of thing, if it's even worth making, and then if they even mention it in the first fucking place, if any of them ever even mention it or consider it, of course it's on the internet, it'll be there forever. Now they have to worry about it and think about it for fucking ever, right? So that might hold them back in some regard. So there's so many different things to think about and consider. This one little detail of going, hey, maybe I want my spores to be flowers. Maybe I want my stomp to be a little cooler stomp, right? And I guess that's what more of my full video is about. I wanted to just kind of openly talk about and explore that idea regarding not even necessarily Warframe, but just using Warframe as an example, because it fits the most, because I'm mainly talking about Warframe stuff, mainly just talking about Warframe stuff in the video. It's just a really interesting thought to have regarding the potential additions they could add to the game. And of course, there's always a vocal negativity online, especially Reddit, that might start freaking out about stuff like this, which any newer player could come see and see all the negativity. New players sees Sanctuary Onslaught, right? New players sees Plains of Eidolon, then they go to the Reddit and all they say, oh, this buggy shit, this buggy crap, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, oh, maybe this is fucking free-to-play garbage, I don't want to play this, right? And one of the things that I think a lot of people in the community don't really think about and consider is the difference between feedback and the difference between negativity. Because there was a lot of issues with Onslaught. Obviously a lot of issues with Onslaught. And guess what? Digital Extremes wants Onslaught to work and be just as good as we want it to be. Because what's good for us is what's good for... No, what's good for them is what's good for us. And if things work, then people play it more and they make more money. So obviously, it all works out in their favor if everything works right. So obviously they know there's issues, but sometimes they have to release things. And people who haven't really watched the documentary, they've talked previously about releasing of frequent content, because a game that's free to play that looks this good might die because there's no way they could put out enough content for it. So they could put content out with this amount of look and aesthetic value and that kind of shit, but also there might be some bugs involved, right? There might be some issues, it might cause player frustration, losing rewards, that kind of thing. And it's the negativity surrounding anything that DE could potentially do is very frustrating to think about, just because knowing the negativity, I mean the negativity of the Reddit and everything else and just the internet in general, the negativity of all of it is a constant. It will always be there. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, if only people weren't negative, because people are going to be negative. That's how it is. I'm negative a lot of the time. I'm a very cynical person when it comes to a lot of things. But I just wanted to talk about and explore the small ideas I had regarding per ability customization, what that could really entail for the game, what that could really do for the game, and what that could hurt the game. It's just a small little thought that I needed to make a video about and get out of my head, because I haven't been able to sleep because it's been fucking rambling in there. And obviously it's been rambling in there because I look over and I've been talking for almost 30 fucking minutes. So I'm going to throw this in, I'm going to get it rendered, and I'm going to throw it online. If you've gotten this far, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, depending on where you're at. And if you do have your own ideas or thoughts about stuff like this, throw it in the comments. I would like to see what other people think about this idea, because this idea is certainly not something that's one-sided. It is definitely something that, as a community and as a company, there's some form of compromise that has to come from in between them. And it's just fun to just kind of ramble and talk about shit like that. And obviously, I ramble a lot because I'm all over the fucking place in my videos. It's just how I am, man. It's just how I am. My thought goes from here to here to here, and to me it's all connected, but someone looks at it from an objective view and just goes, what the fuck you do? I need sleep. It's 11 a.m. I have to bring my vehicle in 3 hours to get the fucking tires aligned. Ah, fucking... Okay, I have to end the video before I keep going. Thanks for watching. If you got this far, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna shield myself. Twitch, Twitter, links will be in the description, yada, yada, yada. All that fun stuff. I hope you have a wonderful day or night. If you want to ask me any questions, leave them in the comments or find me on my social media or my Twitch. So, yeah. Bye. Oh, yeah. I forgot my thing. I like to do my thing. Thanks for watching and have a good one. Later.